How many times did I stay in relationships because I was afraid of being alone? Too many times, I'll admit. I convinced myself that love was something I had to chase, that the right person would somehow fill the gaps I felt inside. But here's what I didn't know back then. The real secret to love starts with you. If you're still settling for relationships that don't lift you up, you're missing the one thing that could change everything. I wish someone had told me this truth earlier, that you can't truly love someone else until you love yourself first. The moment I learned to value myself, everything shifted. Suddenly, I wasn't afraid to walk away from relationships that didn't respect me. Want to know how this simple shift in mindset could transform your relationships for good? Keep listening, and I'll share the life-changing lesson I wish I had learned years ago. One of the most important lessons I've learned from past relationships is that attraction doesn't only come from looks, but also from the way you make women feel valued and understood. When you meet a woman you find attractive, remember that initial attraction is just the starting point. Confidence is the first thing that draws women in, but I'm not talking about arrogance or being conceited. Confidence is when you understand your worth but don't disrespect the other person. Women are drawn to a man who can stand firm in life, make decisions, and not be overwhelmed by emotions. An example I always reflect on is a personal experience where I was initially drawn to a woman who exuded confidence in the way she handled herself. She wasn't the loudest in the room, but her presence commanded attention. There was no need for her to flaunt her qualities. Her confidence was in how she carried herself and interacted with others. It made me feel comfortable, like I could trust her without even needing to know her fully yet. However, it's essential to remember that genuine interest will make women feel that you care about more than just their appearance. It's about paying attention to the little details in their life, the things they share, and showing empathy. This is how you really connect with her from the very first moments. I once met a woman who mentioned how much she enjoyed visiting art galleries. Instead of just nodding and moving on, I asked her more about her favorite artists and shared my thoughts on an exhibition I'd recently visited. We instantly found common ground. It wasn't just about saying nice things, but about showing that I was truly listening and invested in what she was passionate about. You don't always need to say sweet words. Sometimes, just listening, being attentive, and putting yourself in her shoes is enough. In a conversation I once had, a woman shared how she was going through a tough time with work. Rather than offering unsolicited advice, I simply listened, empathized, and allowed her to vent. She appreciated my patience, which showed her that I wasn't just there to impress her with clever comments or stories. Instead, I genuinely cared about how she felt. Finally, a comfortable atmosphere in your communication will help create a space where the woman feels at ease and can share openly. A man who can make a woman feel safe will always be attractive in her eyes. I've seen firsthand how important it is to create a safe space. A close friend of mine once told me about a woman he was dating who struggled to open up. He decided to stop rushing and allowed her to set the pace for their conversations. He didn't press her for information or try to change her mood. He just showed he was there for her, waiting patiently. Over time, she became more open and their connection deepened. This taught me that patience and emotional safety create a much stronger foundation for attraction than any flashy gestures. In my opinion, making a woman feel valued from the start isn't about impressing her with grand gestures. It's about the genuine attention you give her, showing empathy in her struggles, and creating an environment where she feels safe to express herself. This is the true path to attraction, and it's what keeps women interested beyond the first encounter. After going through several relationships, I've realized that long-term relationships are a lot like gardens. They need consistent care and attention to truly flourish. The initial spark of passion may change over time, But with dedication, a long-term relationship can become even more vibrant and fulfilling. I've learned that keeping the flame of love burning requires real effort. Life can get busy, but making time for each other is crucial. It could be anything from a romantic dinner, a long walk, or even a game night. The key is to be fully present and engaged with each other. Put away your phones, silence distractions, and really focus on reconnecting. I made the mistake of being too busy with work and often forgot to spend quality time with her. One evening, I decided to turn off all electronic devices, and we had a quiet dinner where we discussed the things that truly mattered in our lives. She really appreciated that time, and I realized those simple moments brought us closer together. Relationships get more interesting when you step out of your comfort zone and try new things together. We took a cooking class, explored new parts of the city, and even signed up for dance lessons. We found joy in learning and exploring together, and those experiences created lasting memories, keeping our relationship dynamic and exciting. From moments like these, I learned that shared adventures and learning experiences keep a relationship fresh and prevent it from becoming stagnant. Communication is the foundation of any healthy relationship. One of the most crucial things I've learned is that you can't just focus on expressing your feelings without truly listening to your partner. Sometimes we need to listen to understand the other person, not just to respond. An open conversation can help you understand your partner better. I've been in a relationship where we struggled to communicate. There was a time when I didn't understand her emotions and assumed that only I had the right to feel a certain way. However, after sitting down and really listening and discussing her feelings, we were able to resolve our issues without any conflict. This not only strengthened our relationship, but also helped me understand myself better. Long-term love has to go beyond just the initial spark of passion. It's about the emotional connection and physical bond between you two. I've learned that active listening and showing empathy is not just about words. It's about deeply understanding your partner's emotions and needs. This is a critical part of building intimacy. Physical affection is also very important. It doesn't have to be grand gestures. A simple hug, holding hands, or giving a back rub can communicate love and affection. These small acts remind us that love is about consistent, everyday connection. While closeness is vital, I've learned that maintaining your own interests and personal growth is equally important. If you don't make time for your personal development, you might lose yourself in the relationship. I made the mistake of not dedicating enough time to my own hobbies and focusing only on the relationship. This caused me to feel stuck and lose my confidence. I've learned that if you encourage your partner's personal growth and maintain your own interests, you'll not only bring new experiences to the relationship, but also keep it fresh and interesting. Personal growth also boosts self-confidence, making you a better partner. A long-term relationship cannot be without romance. Don't let it fade. Plan small surprises, write love notes, or recreate a special date from your past. Little gestures can keep the spark alive. Forgiveness is key too. We all make mistakes. Holding on to grudges will only harm the relationship and create distance. Learn to forgive each other and move forward. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, but rather letting go of anger and choosing to rebuild trust. Disagreements are inevitable, but how you handle them matters. Focus on resolving the issue, not blaming your partner. Listen to their perspective, communicate your needs clearly, and be willing to compromise. Approaching conflict with respect and empathy can strengthen your bond. When you find a woman you truly love, the next step is not just about staying in the honeymoon phase. It's about maintaining a deep, lasting connection. I've realized that not everyone can keep that spark alive in a long-term relationship. But after many mistakes, I've learned that commitment and communication are key. One of the most crucial things is listening. Don't just focus on yourself. If you focus only on expressing your feelings without listening to hers, the relationship will never grow. Everyone needs space to express their emotions and desires. Sometimes, a simple conversation can help you understand your partner better. Keeping things interesting and surprising is also vital to maintaining attraction in a long-term relationship. Create unexpected moments, like a romantic dinner or a spontaneous getaway. Little but meaningful gestures will keep the relationship from becoming stale over time. More importantly, you must take care of yourself. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't love anyone else. Make time to develop your own interests, maintain personal space, and never let yourself become too dependent on the relationship. A strong, independent man is always more attractive than someone who has lost themselves in the relationship. I hope these principles help you maintain a long-lasting relationship. Always remember, a strong relationship requires effort and commitment from both sides. Consistently putting in effort, nurturing intimacy, and prioritizing quality time together will help keep the love alive, leading to a lasting connection that can thrive for years to come. I've been through enough failed relationships to know one thing for sure. Commitment matters. Early on, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement, the chemistry, and the attraction. But without true commitment, all of that will fade away, leaving you questioning where things were really headed. If you're stuck in what I call the level 2 phase, where the attraction is strong but commitment is nowhere to be found, you're just treading water, wasting valuable time. Let me share an example from my own life. I was dating someone who on paper seemed perfect for me. The connection was instant. We laughed, we shared deep conversations, and we were incredibly attracted to each other. But every time I tried to talk about the future, she would dodge the conversation. "Let's just see where things go," she'd say. For months I stayed in that level 2 phase, hoping things would naturally fall into place. But in reality, I was wasting my time. I was emotionally invested in a relationship that had no clear future, and deep down, I knew it wasn't going anywhere. That's when I realized avoiding conversations about commitment was one of my biggest mistakes. I was afraid to bring it up because I feared it would scare her off, or worse, make things feel too serious. But in the end, not addressing it just kept us stuck. We kept going around in circles. The connection was real, but we weren't on the same page about where we were headed. If I had faced the truth sooner, I would have saved myself months of emotional energy. One of the things I've learned the hard way is that attraction alone is not enough to sustain a relationship. You can have the best chemistry in the world, but unless both of you are committed to building something together, it's just fleeting. Relationships, especially long-term ones, require commitment from both partners. And let me tell you, you can't wait for the other person to initiate that commitment. If you want something lasting, you have to ask for it, even if it feels uncomfortable. I remember another time when I was dating someone who was much more upfront about wanting to build a future with me. We had a conversation about commitment early on, and it was one of the most refreshing talks I've ever had. We both acknowledged what we were looking for, someone to share a future with. That conversation wasn't about forcing anything, it was about making sure we were aligned in what we wanted. And because we were both on the same page, we ended up building a strong, lasting relationship. It was clear commitment from both of us that made all the difference. The concept of commitment readiness really changed how I view relationships. It's not just about being ready for a relationship. It's about knowing if both of you are truly ready together. There's no point in pretending things are going well if the commitment isn't there. If one person is ready and the other isn't, the relationship can't move forward. It's time to face the truth, no matter how hard it is to accept. You can't build a solid relationship on shaky foundations. I learned that the hard way. When I was younger, I kept hoping relationships would work themselves out. I stayed in relationships without addressing the core issue. Was the other person ready for the future I wanted? The longer I ignored that question, the more I invested emotionally, only to end up heartbroken when I realized I wasn't getting the commitment I needed. I've been in relationships where I kept hoping things would work out, waiting for the other person to catch up. But waiting around for commitment without openly discussing it only leads to disappointment. What I didn't realize at the time was that I was investing so much emotional energy into something that didn't have a strong foundation. It wasn't just about me. It was about whether we both wanted the same things at the same time in the same relationship. Here's the thing. When you're ready for commitment, you need to know if your partner is too. It's not enough to feel like you're heading in the right direction. You need clarity. Ask the tough questions. If you're not getting the answers you need, don't ignore it. Don't wait for things to fall into place. Commitment readiness is crucial, and it goes both ways. The relationship can't be one-sided. If one person is ready but the other isn't, the relationship will struggle to grow. And that's when you find yourself stuck, unable to move forward. Looking back, I realize how much time I wasted in relationships where I ignored this simple fact. Commitment is a choice, not just a feeling. Attraction fades, circumstances change, but the decision to commit, to truly commit, is what keeps a relationship strong. If you don't take that step, things will stall out. And when you realize you've spent too much time hoping for change, rather than making that commitment happen, you need to ask yourself, am I in this for the long haul? If the answer is yes, then it's time to get clear about what that future looks like together. I've learned that timing is everything when it comes to relationships. If you're not both ready at the right time, no matter how much you like each other, the relationship is likely to falter. The key is finding someone who is aligned with your goals and desires for the future. That readiness isn't just about a feeling. It's about the actions you both take. It's about the commitment you show to making the relationship work. So here's my advice. Don't wait. Ask the questions that matter. Don't waste time in a relationship where the commitment isn't clear. The sooner you get the answers you need, the sooner you can build something real and lasting. If both of you are ready, there's nothing to fear. That's when the relationship can truly grow, and the future you're both working toward can finally begin to take shape. After years of navigating relationships, both successful and painful, one truth stands out. Love starts with yourself. It's easy to think that a relationship will complete you, but if you don't know your own worth first, you'll never truly be able to give love or receive it fully. I didn't understand this for a long time, and because of that, I allowed myself to stay in relationships that weren't healthy, simply because I didn't recognize my own value. I remember a time when I was dating someone who, while a good person, didn't value me in the way I deserved. I let myself be treated poorly because I wasn't clear on my own boundaries. Without knowing your worth, it's easy to settle for mistreatment. The turning point came when I realized that the most important relationship I could ever have was the one with myself. If I didn't start respecting myself, how could I expect anyone else to? One of the first steps in valuing yourself is being clear about your own needs and desires in a relationship. For far too long, I ignored what I wanted out of fear of conflict or rejection. I'd suppress my feelings, believing that my partner's happiness mattered more than my own. But when I started to ask myself, what do I truly want from this relationship? Everything shifted. Being honest with yourself about your desires allows you to set the right expectations for any relationship. Setting clear boundaries was another crucial lesson I had to learn. In past relationships, I let myself be pushed around because I didn't know how to assert what I needed. I thought love meant sacrifice, but I soon realized it's not about losing yourself for the sake of someone else. It's about knowing where you end and they begin. Once I started setting boundaries, I realized how much respecting myself elevated my worth in the eyes of others. A partner who truly cares about you will respect those boundaries. If they don't, then it's time to walk away. No matter how hard that decision may seem, something that became crystal clear to me was that self-worth is not about being perfect. It's about acknowledging your value and standing by it. For too long, I thought love would fix me, that I needed to change to be worthy of love. But the right relationship will accept you as you are, imperfections and all. The truth is, the moment you learn to love yourself, you stop chasing validation from others. You attract people who see you for your true value, not someone who is constantly seeking approval or sacrificing their own needs. Once I started valuing myself, I began setting standards for the kind of partner I wanted. I realized that I didn't have to settle for relationships where I felt undervalued. When you know what you deserve, you become confident enough to walk away from situations that don't align with your standards. And when you stand firm in your own worth, you'll naturally start attracting the kind of love that is genuine and mutually fulfilling. Self-love isn't about being selfish. It's about understanding that you are deserving of the same kindness and respect you give to others. Once I started prioritizing my own needs, I found myself surrounded by people who respected me, people who contributed to my growth, not my sacrifice. It was then that I realized you can't give your best self to someone else if you don't first give it to yourself. When you start valuing yourself, you begin to see your life in a different light. You stop tolerating toxic behavior or unhealthy dynamics, and you stop thinking that love is something you need to earn. You are already worthy of the best kind of love, the kind that is nurturing, honest, and supportive. A relationship built on mutual respect and appreciation starts with knowing you deserve that love. By learning to love and value myself, I found that I no longer needed someone else to complete me. Instead, I became a whole person capable of giving love freely, without fear or insecurity. The right relationship, when it comes, will only enhance your life, not make you feel like you're constantly striving for something that isn't there. After all the lessons and experiences I've gone through, I want to tell you that love and relationships aren't always easy. But when you truly learn how to love yourself, commit to the right person, and build a solid foundation together, finding the right partner won't feel like such a struggle. Commitment, mutual respect, and understanding are the cornerstones of any long-lasting and fulfilling relationship. It all begins with loving and taking care of yourself. When you're grounded in self-worth, you'll be able to navigate relationships with clarity, knowing exactly what you deserve and are willing to give. The right person will come along when you're ready, and when you know what you want and deserve, creating the relationship you've always dreamed of becomes possible. Now that we've reached the end of this video, ask yourself, have you ever realized that the first person you need to love and respect is yourself? Share your story in the comments, because every story has the power to change someone's perspective and make a big difference in their life. If this video brought value to you, don't hesitate to share it with your friends so we can spread the message of self-love and building lasting relationships. Be sure to stay tuned for more insightful videos in the future. Wishing you joy and happiness always.